Yo, greetings. Here to make another piece of expression. The most needed thing is enlightenment, is acknowledgement of who you really are, and which is a spiritual being, right? So the majority of the planet are not even aware of this. They're a spiritual being in a biological robot having a human experience on the planet Earth. And not just that, they don't realize there's a manuscript, there's laws for their own benefit. And the most difficult thing, the biggest obstacle, is kind of like the educated, the privileged, because they've been miseducated. They believe in a thing called the Big Bang Theory. They believe in a thing called Wheel of Life. They believe in a thing called the food chain. Yeah, these are all man-made synthetic fantasies that are nowhere near reality. But they really educated on miseducation. So their plate's full. There's no room for them to digest what they need to digest, because they have already food on their plate that they've got used to digesting. Yeah, that's one of the things. If you're talking about digesting it for the biological system, the body, that's one of the strengths and weaknesses of the biological robot, whether it's an animal or more of a human. The animals don't get the privilege, if you want to call it that, because they have a lifestyle where they're used to eating off the environment. So the humans now do not. A human can actually get addicted to a cigarette and have a demand for tens or even up to 100 cigarettes a day. Although in the beginning he didn't enjoy probably his first 1,000 cigarettes, he probably loathed it, but through marketing, peer pressure, social norms, he accepts the program. Yeah. And then not only does he accept the program, then he starts to crave the program. Yeah. He accepts the program, then he wants the program, then he needs the program, then he craves the program. So that's a strength if you end up in an opportunity. I wouldn't call it opportunity, but if you end up in a position where you need to eat, and let's say there's only certain types of food, well, that's when it becomes a strength, because you can accept that program and then eventually want that program and then eventually need that program and then eventually crave that program. So the problem of hunger is solved. But I mentioned this because spirituality, I was saying earlier in the video, is what people need to subscribe to. But some people won't have the choice when it's marketed. I'm marketing it now. I've been marketing it since I was 21. I'm 46 years old. 21, it was probably younger than that, but that's when I took the red pill and accepted the truth. And you see, when you take the red pill, and it's not this red pill is only for a small percent, yeah, and it's our job to find those. It's not going to be hard. It's fate, yeah. You just need to keep your hands on the wheel and you would end up at the destination. The small percent, back in the days, there was a thing called the 5%. People relate it to Islam, and yes, it is an Islam term, but really, metaphorically, it's the enlightened ones, not the illuminated ones, but the enlightened ones, because the illuminated ones is billions of people who are easily misled into doing things enlightened ones are the ones who will accept the program. It's not even a program because it's the default, it's the indigenous reason why we're here. Yeah? To comply with the things while we're here, to qualify to the things where we're going, which is our last judgment. And the obstacles doesn't really matter. The stuff I'm talking about is very tangible, very digestible to the right soul. But for those who've been miseducated, the privileged, the educated, yeah, the paleos, the Big Bang Theory, you know, those who want results, yeah, at their gain, at the cost of doesn't matter, are the ones who are the agents in the matrix, are the obstacles, are the walls, yeah. But they don't matter. I used to be concerned about it, but when you really think about it, why would you be concerned when it's only the 5%? It's probably even less than that. It could be 5%, it could be a bit less, but it's a small percent of people who will when they make the connection with this information, and if it's the first time, depending on how much of that information they get, they're probably going to need a lot, just like a battery needs a certain amount of transfer of energy to regenerate itself. If you don't charge it to a certain amount, it won't be enough to start. And it's the same with this. If they get the right abundance amount of this stuff I'm serving right now, they will go past the line of return. And not only will they go past the line of return, they will jump into it. They will dive deep, like Jizza says. They will drink until their belly will burst. Yeah, big shout out to the Jizza, big shout out to the Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, and the thing is, if you're on this path, I very doubt it, because like I said, they call it the 5%, but I'm really thinking it's more 3, 2, or maybe even 1%. But although it's small, the quality of one is the quantity of 100,000, because it's indigenous. You know, if you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing in the place where you're supposed to be, then there is no contest. And I can't really find a way to show you the ratio of importance when you are subscribed to the right thing, which is what matters. Yeah. So if you are, it's gonna be I'll be most surprised if you are, even if you claim to be on a spiritual path. Yeah. Because the word spiritual, or for example the word rock, or for example the word veganism, or the word hip hop, it's one word. But how many interpretations do you think there is of hip hop, rock, vegan? It's the same with spirituality. So, those terms, which one is it? Which one is rock? Well, you can't with rock, because all kind of rock has its place. And then hip hop, let's get refined with the information. Hip hop, it does matter, because there is a certain criteria to be hip-hop. Veganism is the same as hip-hop. Not like rock, because rock is a bit more, I'm not sure how to explain it, and I'm not that as experienced as me being a man of colour. But I do know when it comes to hip-hop, and when it comes to veganism, you've got people in veganism who are doing it for health. You've got people in veganism who are doing it for vanity. You've got people in veganism who are doing it for physical enhancement and gains, you know, progression. Yeah, you got veganism, people doing it for the environment, but that's not veganism. I don't know what to call it, but it's not veganism. Veganism is a selfless thing, in my mind. Veganism is a selfish thing when it comes to justice. Yeah. You know what I mean? I hope you know what I mean, because I don't really want to get too much into the detail of that. What was the other thing I mentioned? Let me see. Now, spirituality is the same as veganism, because with spirituality, you got people spiritual, yeah, and they're into religion. I don't believe that's spirituality. You got people who are spiritual, and their main concern is having the image of a hippie or someone who's spiritual by wearing certain costumes and doing certain things that people do in the spiritual community, but at the same time they are not contributing to spirituality as in being of service. And by being of service, then what happens there is that you are actually working with the universe, working for the universe, because you are being part of this life force that makes the human traffic flow by being of service. Yeah. Why I say this is because I think social media gives you a good picture of what's happening in the world by watching the videos, reading the comments, and making connections with people you've never met before by communicating with them. And when I go into the spiritual environment, I have not met anybody who's been of service. I've met Dan McDonald, who's definitely part of the Galaxy High. I say Galaxy High because when you join the Galaxy High, you must have digested the stuff that is digestible. There's so much spiritual information out there, and I'm not sure how it gets to the main stage or is relevant as it is, but it's just not digestible to me. I've tried, but you shouldn't have to try. You don't have to try with Dan McDonald. Maybe some do, and this is what I'm saying. Whoever has to try to digest Dan McDonald's food for the mind, it's not for them. Those people who can't digest it are not really important right now. It's a waste of time, and time is valuable. It's those who will digest it are important, because they are the only source of currency that can be turned into a property that will have use and serve humanity. And when they make that connection, they will be able to create more edible food for those like themselves, but it's a small percent. And the majority, I don't know if it's the majority, a lot of people will connect, a lot of people will have some resonance with it, but their focus will not have the maintenance to change, for them to connect, because that's what change is, really. Yeah, that's what born again is when you make a connection with something you haven't connected with, and the connection has to be with what matters. So for those who will resonate, because my friends, most of my friends can only take a small amount of what I am talking about, and maybe one day I will make a video why that is. And the worst thing is they're not going to want to hear it, because people are insecure due to the experiences of growing up. When you're a child, you have the self-esteem, and then as we get older, the things that amuse us, entertain us, have you noticed, are usually things of misbehaviour. The cartoons, we used to have a thing called Grange Hill, they always misbehaving in school, and the ones who were the main characters, that was at the, you know, who the spotlight was on, were the most misbehaved of them all. You see it in the cartoon Tom and Jerry, and it's still to today, you know. It's the behavior that is not good. So that beautiful child, I mean, you cannot get as godly as a child. Yeah, you cannot get as godly as a child. But when they go through the system of growing up and going through all the establishments, which is school, education, yeah, miseducation, that creates a monster. Like, by the time they're 16, yeah, they are a monster. And this is back when in the 80s. Hold on, I'm going to pause this. In the 80s and before, things were not as monstrous as they are now. As time's gone on, we have become more monstrous. You look at the children, yeah, from the 80s. Look at a picture from, I can show you a picture, matter of fact, I will probably show you a picture of children from the 80s, and then look at them now, and you will understand that we have become more of a monster, yeah? And the school system, the things children, the inputs, what they see, the entertainment, the education, yeah? That child, baby, turns into a 5-year-old or whatever, that everybody is attracted to, in a good way. Yeah, because, like I said, you can't get more godly than a child. Why? Because where we're going is where they've just come from. Now, like I was saying, when they go through the system, and this is what I was saying about insecurity, why probably people can't take too much of what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is the main reason, but this is a branch that has led to these things, yeah? People are just damaged, basically. People are damaged, and they got damaged because they weren't damaged when they was a child. Not with that self-esteem, not with that vibrance, not with that learning capacity. Do you know how quick a child learns from not knowing nothing to walking and, repeating things it's heard? I mean, can man create anything like that? No. And that's what makes me laugh when people think atheists, like all these things created by man that are pretty wonderful. Not even a spoonful out of an ocean compared to the human being. But the most complex creation has no creator. But all the other things that man has created, they can tangibilize because they can see, touch, and it shows that, no deep conjugal thoughts. But so what I'm saying is as people get older, the system takes the value, the qualities, and replaces it with things like doubt, and that creates an unapproachable person, and that creates gaps, and that creates a lack of communication, that creates insecurity, and then loneliness, and then you've got these illnesses coming now, and then you've got these pills and all these these are artificial. Yeah, it's like, it's crazy. Anyway, this video was just about to say, it's not about trying to educate and open the minds of every human being. Impossible. Because like I said, people are so miseducated, yeah, they cannot see a tangible reality. Yeah, they can only see what they know that is fantasy, which seems real to them because they're so educated on miseducation. But if you are who I say I am, it's gonna be slim odds, but it's possible. I was fortunate. I don't think I never would have come this way if I never met a couple of souls on my path. Because I haven't seen this anywhere except from That's why I say Dan McDonald was spiritually related, because although we haven't been to the same school, although we haven't shared the same physical space, we know the exact same thing. And I say it's the same with Russell Brand, 100%. And they both have God pride, and I have it too. And so if you are, which you're probably not, but you may be inspired. If you're still here now 20 minutes, then and you want more, you're extremely lucky. You're extremely wealthy. I doubt you are here. If you are, don't get me wrong, although you're lucky and you're wealthy and you're feeling good now, you're gonna go through some pretty painful stuff. Yeah? Because you've resonated with the truth. Yeah? And it's not cheap, but the compensation is like no other. Ain't nothing being like a spiritual billionaire. Money, I actually remember now what I wanted to say on that video. I'm gonna repeat it later, 'cause I made a video earlier and I forgot what I wanted to say. So I'm gonna stop this and come back to this video and just finish that video. Stinkers, man. Look, no camera. Okay. Yeah. Camera one. Looks right here. I'm rusty, man. Mad rusty. 26. Let's call it a day.
Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace, y'all. Peace.